Thursday night. Did a couple of appearances on Friday and Saturday, lots of media events on Sunday. And I approached the start line of the 117th Boston Marathon on Monday morning without ever anything crossing my mind that any kind of disaster would be waiting at the finish line for us. And that day, with 27,000 other runners, we started running, and everybody was running to finish and to have that emotional feeling of accomplishment of finishing a marathon. There's nothing much in the world that I've ever felt about what it feels like to have trained for 3 to 4 months to run 26.2 miles, to get to that finish line, to look somebody in the eye, have them put a medal around your neck, and slap you on the back and say congratulations on doing something that less than 1% of the American population has done. And so it's a very elite club to be a member of, to be able to run a marathon. And for me, lining up for my third Boston Marathon was especially important for me. I run for the American Liver Foundation. I raise charity dollars for the Run for Research Fund. And this particular Boston Marathon, I had 2 friends of mine from Boston that were running with me. This was their first ever Boston Marathon as well. So this, to me, was a very significant day. These were 2 close friends of mine that I've gotten to know very well through my course of time with The Biggest Loser. And to be able to be side by side with someone as they experience the emotional highs and then the physical lows of running a marathon, it's a pretty important and amazing feeling. And so we started, and I agreed when I got to Boston, I agreed with the 2 of them that I would maintain their pace. They were a little bit slower runners than I am, and I told them I would maintain their pace to help them try to get their best time ever. Both of them signed up to be paid lots of money to get the big commemorative plaque with a picture of you crossing the finish line and your time engraved on the bronze plaque in the frame. And I told them, you want to leave every ounce of energy you have out there. You don't want to cross the finish line and have anything left over. And so I told them that I would push them to their limits to get them the best possible time so they could be proud of their first marathon time. One of the aspects of the whole marathon, as we were running, I never run with my iPhone ever. But for whatever reason, this race, I decided that I wanted to run with my phone to do Twitter updates and Facebook posts along the route, to be able to take pictures of my 2 friends at various points. We stopped to visit friends and family of theirs. And so when I got to the Marathon Expo, I bought a runner's pouch to put my phone in to take with me. And I had no idea at the time that having my phone with me during this marathon would be such a monumental event. As we approached mile 23 and a half, my phone rang, and I picked it up, and it was the family of the 2 people that were running with me, who were about 5 blocks away from the finish line en route to see us cross. And they said, there's been some explosions at the finish line. We don't really know what's going on. There's people running around. It's just a crazy scene. What's going on? Where are y'all at? And so, I told them we were still a couple of miles away from the finish at this point, and everything seemed fine. So I hung up the phone with him. I walked over to the first police officer I saw, and I said, what's going on with the finish? And all he told me was, hey, there's a situation at the finish line. He wouldn't confirm or deny whether it was a bomb or whether there was even an explosion. And at this point, he told me that the marathon route was safe and had been cleared to continue running to the finish. I started my watch back up, and we started running again. And we made it, I guess we made it probably another mile and a half or so. We made it to about right at mile 25 when the National Guard came in and pulled us off the course. And just prior to that, I had finally got in touch with my wife on the phone. I told her, hey, I'm okay, we're not at the finish, everything's fine. And I said, look, Boston Marathon this is like the Super Bowl of marathons. They don't, if it was something major, they'd have already stopped the run, and they wouldn't let us continue to run. So it must not be something this big. In the back of my mind, I was still thinking that, there's so much media at the finish line, there's so many things going on, maybe like a generator exploded or something that, maybe just something. In my mind, I was still kind of denying the fact that this was a terror attack on America that I was in the middle of. And so right after I hung up with her, we got blown off the road by a Hummer full of National Guard troops, and they stopped us. And then at that point, I realized that, this is something more significant than a generator exploding. And the kind of sides of the story that finally really hit home with me. And it was funny, like in Boston, even the day of and the day after, it never really hit me that what I was really experiencing until I was on the way home and I was sitting at the airport in Atlanta and I really started thinking about it. And I realized that as I did my last training run 2 weeks prior to leaving for Boston, I ran 20 miles in the Vicksburg Military Park. And the military park is a hilly course. It's a tough run. It's not even as easy as running in the military park. And I did my 20-mile run in the Vicksburg Military Park in 3 hours and 7 minutes. And so I had, at that point, 6.2 miles left to finish a marathon. And the pace that I was going, it would have taken me just over an hour probably. I was starting to slow a little bit. So it would probably take me just over an hour to finish. Which at 3:07, just over an hour, would put me somewhere around the 4-hour, 10-minute mark. And if you've seen the news, the bombs went off at the 4:09:50 mark. So I realize now that the decision to stay and run with my friends could have possibly saved my life. I would have been shooting for my personal best time. I would have been pushing myself hard to get there in just under 4 hours and 10 minutes. And I would have been right there in the thick of all of that had I been running on my own. The other side note to that is, had my friends that were in Boston not been running with me, they would have been parked right there. I would have gotten them grandstand passes to get in to see the finish. So they'd have been in the bleachers right there at the end waiting on me. So it's one of those things that really kind of puts it in perspective when you realize what you've been through and what's been going on. So if anything, the email that I got this morning from the Boston Athletic Association saying that the state of Massachusetts Mental Health Department was setting up contacts and lines for runners, volunteers, workers, everybody that was involved that were experiencing symptoms of having your head not at ease, and there was a whole list of things that you needed to look at to make sure that you weren't experiencing emotional problems from after the marathon. So it's kind of fitting that this week has happened, and then here I am to share with y'all my story, but also the story of what has just happened to me. So the bottom line, I guess, at the end of the day, if anything, having this experience has done one thing for me, and it's thrown gasoline on my fire to go back in 2014 to run the Boston Marathon, to post my best time ever there, to honor and remember everyone that died and injured in Boston this year, and to show that whoever is responsible behind it, that we're not going to lay down and cower down, that we rise back up and we continue to fight. And that's one of the things that Bob Harper on The Biggest Loser always told me was you stand up and you finish what you started. And for me and my two friends, they didn't get to finish what they started. We stopped at mile 25. We were ushered off the course. They didn't get that feeling of stepping on that yellow stripe on Boylston Street and getting a medal put on their neck. And that's one thing that we're going to experience together next year. So I'm really excited to do that. And this whole week has just been a real eye-opener for me of how fragile life really is, and just the events of one day, how it can really change your life. So when I go back to really my whole time now, after The Biggest Loser, since September of 2011, when I really started traveling around, I've been able to go to over 36 different elementary and middle schools in Mississippi, and I've reached out now and spoke to